Hello, 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 my beautiful people. I'm your girl D, and welcome to another vlog of D's Beautiful Seeds. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about what it was like to lose my mother at 9 years old. Um, I don't remember a whole lot of her from my childhood actually, because at some point in time, I stopped living with her, probably around the age of like 5 or 6. I can't really remember very well. I don't know why, but I remember her being in and out of my life. And I wasn't yet at that age where I really understood what was going on. I just knew that she would come and go. And then I started living with my grandma and then my aunt. And we moved around quite a lot. It was really hard as I grew up and started to understand what death was. I was at her funeral when I was 9, I remember, and I didn't cry. I saw my grandmother crying, I saw my uncle crying, I saw my siblings crying, but I didn't cry. But it wasn't until I reached my teenage years, I want to say, that I actually started to understand what it meant that she would no longer be a part of my life. I wasn't old enough for her to teach me how to be a woman, and the differences between a woman and a man. I wasn't old enough for her to teach me about relationships, about love, about life, about God. We didn't go to church. I never went to church with her. My grandma would take us to church. She was a Jehovah's Witness, but it wasn't a stable upbringing, a stable location where some people have this is the religion or this is the belief, and we go to church every Sunday. That wasn't the kind of environment that I grew up in. And it wasn't until later on that I realized what a mother's love feels like, what it is. My father had girlfriends, he had women that pretty much played the role of my mom. And one of them in particular, her name was Nina, my stepmom, was a beautiful woman. I mean, like she was a wonderful mother figure. But I always had it in me, that I felt like I'm not her responsibility, you know, like even though she loved my father and he loved her and her children with her previous boyfriend, my father basically fathered, or was a part of their life and accepted them and vice versa. We were told to call her mom and we did. And she was, like I said, a beautiful person. If you're watching this, Nina, I love you. But yeah, she was a very sweet person and a great mother figure. But I always had that hole. I always had that space. And I think a part of it was because my aunts and my grandma and my uncles would always tell me how much I looked just like my mom. Sometimes my aunt would call me my mom's name by accident. She said that's how much we look alike. And so there was always a reminder of it. And when my father went to prison, I was offered to stay with my stepmom. She asked me, you do want to stay here? And I didn't want to, because I always felt like, if my father's not around and my mom's not around, I don't want to be somebody else's burden or responsibility. Even though they didn't make me feel that way, or she didn't make me feel that way, I did not want to feel that way. Especially if, there was ever something that I felt like I wanted. And, sometimes children can be ungrateful and feel like they deserve something. And I never wanted to put that pressure on somebody who I didn't feel like I was their responsibility. It was completely my pride. I have a huge God complex and this huge sense of like, you know, I don't know what it is, but it was just like, no, I don't want to do that. And so I was just completely okay with being somewhere where I felt like there was no separation, and being a part of the Department of Human Services was actually ideal for me because everybody who was there was the same. They were there for different reasons, of course, and not everybody's parents passed away or gave them up for adoption or whatever. But we were all there being supervised by people who weren't our parents, you know. And so I guess my ego was kind of quelled. It was in a place where I felt like, okay, I can do this. Nobody could put their hands on me, and I started to finally feel like I belonged, even though that might sound weird. But my mom was adopted when she was just a little girl. So the family that I grew up as my family isn't really my real family, so. But anyway, I don't know, it just hit me hard. Like, even though I didn't cry at the funeral when I was 9, I've cried so much just feeling like I just wish that I had her with me. I wish that I was able to experience more, you know, to be able to say, this was my mom's favorite color, to know it for sure. And this was what mom used to do when she was angry or happy, or, those kind of memories. The memories I have of her are not all pleasant, but they're not nearly as much as I think a child should have of their parent. I think one of the biggest issues for me is losing her to breast cancer, or after she got chemotherapy. Apparently, there was a spreading of the cancer, and that's what kind of sped up her untimely demise. But my belief in the body and healing and biology and science and the research that I've done because of health conditions that I've encountered, it just makes me upset. It makes me upset that I wasn't older when she passed, because whenever a loved one of mine pass, or a friend of a loved one, or a friend's loved one pass, or is sick, my first reaction is like, okay, what are you eating? What's the diet? What's going on? Like, because I believe in it 100%. I'm not the kind of person that just believes in, oh, circumstances, or it's genetic. You ain't got nothing. I don't believe that. Now, there may be some predispositions to something, of course, but I don't believe that your fate is sealed just because your mom or your dad or your uncle or your great 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 grandfather had this condition. I believe that the diet, I believe that the environment, both physical and mental, of course, contribute to the things that happen to our bodies. And I believe that it is reversible. And I guess I feel sad a lot because I'm so health conscious when it comes to taking a proactive role in my health and wellness, that something like cancer, something like autoimmune diseases, or, germs or bacteria, just understanding the very nature of biology. I know in the bottom of my heart that she didn't have to die from cancer, or that didn't have to be the end. But I'm not saying that, listen, everything happens for a reason. I choose to believe that. I was how old I was because that's the way it was supposed to be. I don't know. But I know in my heart that if I was older, cancer wouldn't have been something that took her out if I was older, because I've always had this inclination to focus on self-healing more than medication that you get over the counter, or just accepting your fate without really understanding what you're contributing to it. So it affects me now because I just wish I was able to experience more from her. I wish that she passed away when she was 32. I just wish that she was able to actually see her children grow up, and really get to nurture them, and to experience how we are today and vice versa. You always, I have a godfather in my life named Lee Enders, who's been absolutely wonderful. He's a beautiful person. He has been the light in my life on so many occasions, and I'm grateful for him. But there's a connection sometimes that you have with your immediate parents, the ones who gave birth to you, that you just can't see any wrong in them, and you want to be around them, and you want them to be around you, and I miss her daily. I carry a picture around of her with me everywhere I go when I'm traveling, and I often tell myself whenever I feel like I'm wasting time or I'm not fulfilling the things that I think I'm meant to do while I'm here, I remind myself that I believe that my mom gave birth to me for a reason. She went through the labor. She carried me for 9 months. She went through the morning sickness and, all the things that come with childbearing, because she believed that it was her destiny to give birth to me. And I don't want that to have been a mistake. Even if technically it wouldn't be, I don't want my mind to believe that I'm wasting my precious time here. And so maybe it happened the way it was supposed to happen, but at the end of the day, I remember what she did for me, because I love my life. I enjoy being here. I'm happy. And having lost her to cancer, having lost her at such a young age to cancer, has put me on a path to teach people how to better take care of themselves, and to not rely on other people to be responsible for their health and wellness. I don't put myself in a place to dictate anything. I just like to show how simple something is to follow, and the results that I've gotten myself from things. So I don't think I'll ever, get to a place where I don't miss her and don't think about her and don't kind of have a little sting sometimes because of the fact that I'm now 33, and she's not here with me. But I'm grateful that I had some moments with her. I know people whose mom passed away when they were like 2, 3, and they've not ever really been able to say, I remember this about my mom, or I remember that. So I'm grateful for the moments that I did have and that I do recall.